Hey guys, I'm going to be reviewing Season 1 of The Rings of Power. So before I head into my thoughts and feelings on this first season, hopefully of a few more seasons, who knows at this point, hopefully we'll get more seasons, before I do talk about this first season of The Rings of Power, I've been sitting here contemplating, do I want to talk about spoilers? Do I not want to talk about spoilers? I feel like the first half of this video I might not have any spoilers, but like when I start getting into, like as I'm sitting here looking at my notes right now, I have like all the character stuff I want to talk about. The second half will probably have a lot more spoiler related things. But yeah, for the sake of this video, I'm most likely going to be having spoiler related topics in this video. So if you have not watched Rings of Power, if you're not caught up, put this video to the side and come back at a later point, because I think it'd be just better for me, probably more interesting for me to sit and talk about spoilers, if you will. So yeah, you have been warned. So let's get going into my thoughts and feelings on The Rings of Power. A quick disclaimer in regards to this show. I am no Tolkien expert. Let me make that very clear. My only experience when it comes to this world, I have read The Hobbit. I have watched the Hobbit movies. I have read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I have watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But yeah, as far as like all of the extended Tolkien material in regards to like Middle Earth and stuff, I have not read any of that. Okay. I'm trying to think if I possibly did read the appendices, because, you know, in the opening credits of Rings of Power, it does say that the show is based off of the appendices from, like, the Lord of the Rings. I'm trying to think if I did read those appendices, because I know, because I think it's, like, the edition of Return of the King or whatever. I think that's where the appendices are, and I want to say I did read those, but that was a very long time ago, and I've only read them like the one time, and I don't remember a damn thing about them. So I want to make that very clear with this video for anybody who's watching this. I am no Tolkien expert. I am just simply someone who is watching and liking the show just kind of how it is. And that's how I'm going to be talking about this show. I'm strictly going to be talking about what I have been given through this show, because I don't know anything about the extended mythology and lore of this world, okay? So yeah, if that's going to frustrate you with how I'm talking about this show, then this probably is not the review for you, because there are definitely plenty of reviews out there from Tolkien experts who know what they're talking about, you know? So yeah, this is strictly my review. I mean, I'm kind of really intending this review for people who are kind of like me, that, you know, we all love like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but we have no idea about anything else going on, you know? So yeah, you have been warned about that as well. Yeah, guys. So let's get going finally, you guys. So what is The Rings of Power even about? I took down the IMDb summary here. I always cheat, you guys. I can never come up with my own summary. I usually have to cheat and get the IMDb one. Yes, set thousands of years before The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. This follows an ensemble cast who confront the long-feared reemergence of evil to Middle Earth. I mean, simple. Plain. That's what this show is all about, the reemergence of evil to Middle Earth, you guys. And yeah, this is only 8 episodes. I'm kind of shocked that this was only 8 episodes. I'm trying to think, would it have benefited a little bit more if it had 10 episodes, or would that have made it worse? I don't know. 10 might have been too much, because I think 8 episodes was already kind of stretching stuff out a little too much sometimes. Let's talk about the positives with this show. The things that definitely worked for me. The show looks absolutely gorgeous. It's bright, it's vibrant. You know, even when there's scenes that are darker, it's like there's still something much more vibrant about them, you know? It's a gorgeous looking show. It looks like they filmed on location in places. Like, it doesn't seem like I mean, there's definitely some CG going on, you know, there's definitely CG going on, but I definitely kind of got this idea that they were trying to mimic those original Lord of the Rings movies and have things a bit more practical you know, build practical sets, and if they could have, you know, like practical makeup, especially for like the orcs and stuff, you know, because that was like a big issue a lot of people had with like the Hobbit movies. There wasn't really much that was practical in those Hobbit movies. There was just way too much CGI going on, you know. That's why people love the Lord of the Rings so much, that it's just natural, you know. And yeah, this show, there's a lot about that felt natural. Like I said, obviously there's a lot of special effects going on, but they're not very, I don't think, to me personally, I didn't find them to be distracting or noticeable except for like a few occasions. Do not get me started on the wargs. I did not like the warg design, you guys. What was wrong with the warg design from the original trilogy? I liked how the wargs looked on that. They were just way too CGI looking on this show, because they made me think of like the hyenas from The Lion King, you guys. Like Ed, you know, the one hyena, Ed, the goofy one. They looked like him, seriously. So yeah, for starters, the show looked gorgeous. I definitely cannot complain about the look of the show. Yes, locations, cinematography. I really liked the costuming as well. I saw a lot of people that were kind of like, that felt like the costuming was hit or miss, but I really liked the costuming. It worked for me. I liked it. Yeah, the special effects, I really like the special effects. Like I said, other than like the wargs and maybe a few places here and there, nothing ever felt distracting to me or too noticeable, you know, especially compared to like the Hobbit movies. Those are definitely just way too noticeable and distracting. And I think what's important, it has that same aesthetic that you do get from the original Lord of the Ring movies, which I appreciated. Just a very similar aesthetic that you feel like you are in Middle Earth. You know, like this is an extended part of Middle Earth and whatnot that we've not really maybe seen before. And yeah, the music. Oh my god, I definitely got to highlight the music. The music was wonderful in this as well. Once again, kind of a similar aesthetic to that you saw in like the Hobbit and the Lord of the Ring movies with the music. I'm not quite sure if the composer was the same. I should have maybe looked that up if the composer was the same. But yeah, even the music, because sometimes I felt like there were similar themes going on. Like I was like, oh, I think that sounds like something I heard in Fellowship of the Ring, you know? So yeah, I love the music. Now the directing, I really did like the directing. I think the directing was really beautiful as well, like very cinematic, a really great scope, you know, making this world look huge and lived in. And I think that's kind of a big part of the job of the director. They need to give you, especially in a fantasy world like this, you know, you need to have scope and measure, if you will. So I think the directing was well done, in my opinion. Let's get to some of the negatives. Because as you can see, I've kind of neglected, like, the writing. The writing was definitely one of those things that was very hit or miss for me. Sometimes I felt like the writing was really good, and then other times I felt like the writing was very lackluster. I just don't know how I feel about some things kind of going on throughout the series, you guys. I think a big issue for me when it comes to the writing on this show, a lack of dimension. Does that make sense? I felt like there was a lack of dimension and like a lack of personality. Other than a few characters, I really found a lot of these characters to be a little lackluster and dull, and a lot of the characters didn't have very much depth or personality. And I think this is just a general problem when it comes to the world building of Middle Earth in general. Because what I kind of, you know, when I was reading The Hobbit and reading The Lord of the Rings and even watching The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, the big thing about those particular trilogies, you know, it's very straightforward. Tolkien's writing is very straightforward when it comes to good versus evil. That is a very clear distinction within his storytelling. I feel like there is clear good and there is clear evil, and you don't have kind of those people that are in the middle, you know. So I think that kind of poses issues sometimes when you're trying to adapt his work, because there's not very much dimension, you know. And I don't want to sit and sound like I'm critiquing Tolkien at all, because I'm not really critiquing Tolkien, because Tolkien's writing is wonderful, you know. His writing is absolutely wonderful, but yet his writing is also, it's kind of pure good, pure bad, you know. And unfortunately, when you're adapting something like that, it kind of comes across as a bit lackluster, and once again, not much depth or dimension, if that makes any sort of sense, you guys. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. So yeah, once again, kind of throughout these 8 episodes, other than kind of a few characters here and there, I did feel like a lot of people were just kind of lacking, and it's like, okay, where is the personality in this character? You know, who are they at their heart and core, other than kind of what the narrative is setting them up that they need to go off and do? Because a lot of times it kind of felt like characters didn't have much, I don't know, like characters didn't have much like agency, like the narrative was telling them they need to go do this, you know, rather than them taking agency upon themselves to go do said thing or whatever. Once again, does that make sense? So speaking of characters, I got a list of characters. I think I picked out a dozen characters, you guys. I picked out a dozen characters that I kind of just want to go through really quickly. And this is where a lot of the spoiler stuff is going to come into play more than anything. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here with some of the characters. I kind of just want to talk about them really genuine, or generally, if you will. Yeah, starting with Morpheth Clark. I believe that's how her name is pronounced, Morpheth Clark, who plays Galadriel, who we last saw played by the lovely Cate Blanchett in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I tell you, I was concerned about Morpheth Clark because I love Cate Blanchett so much, and I think Morpheth Clark, she did a good job with what she was given. Once again, a lot of the writing issues where characters just don't have much depth or personality, and sometimes even Galadriel kind of came across that way, like girl, it's like you're kind of like this one thing, you know. I need a little bit more up and down with you. And sometimes she just was kind of linear like this for the most part, because it's like she had her one agenda and one goal she was kind of going after. But yeah, Morpheth Clark, I did really like her as Galadriel. She did work for me. I definitely see a lot of potential there for her character to really grow on me and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't have really too much of an issue with Galadriel. I really liked seeing this different side of Galadriel because, you know, in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, she's kind of mostly just standing around her nice, beautiful, gorgeous dresses and you know, making commentary on stuff and kind of being a little creepy on occasion. And throwing out words of wisdom and advice. I liked seeing this kind of more like action, badass version of Galadriel and whatnot, that, you know, before she was, you know, living her high life up in, you know, the elven woods or wherever they live. You know, that she was badass at some point, wielding a sword and stuff like that. So I did. I like seeing her kind of out in the field doing things and kind of being part of the action going on and getting people involved, you know, whether they wanted to be involved or not. And yeah, who else we got here? Robert Aramayo? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly either. He plays Elrond. Same with Galadriel. I really liked seeing another version of Elrond, because once again we have Hugo Weaving, the wonderful Hugo Weaving, who played Elrond in the Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Once again, he's kind of just sitting around, you know, giving out words of advice, wisdom, telling people what to do. You know, he's not like out actually doing much of anything half the time. So it was nice to see Elrond kind of in motion, going around doing things. And yeah, his big thing is, you know, preserving the way of life of the elves and whatnot, because we get this big reveal that the elves are like dying, and the only people who have like the solution to the issue are the dwarves of all people. So yeah, I really like seeing Elrond. I feel bad. I kind of started shipping Galadriel and Elrond together, and I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing that. Well, to be honest, I was shipping Elrond and Galadriel just like any damn person I came across with. Man, woman, thing, don't matter. Speaking of the dwarves, we have Owen Arthur, who plays Durin, and Sophia Nomvet, who plays Disa. I really liked Durin and Disa. They were kind of a pleasant surprise. When I first saw that the dwarves were going to be in the show, I was kind of like, is there a reason they need to be in the show? Because it kind of just seems like the humans and the elves really just need to be in the show. But yeah, by the time you get to the conclusion of this first season, the dwarves definitely have a function once, you know, you get the whole thing with the mithril, and that's kind of like the key to, I guess, the self-preservation of the elves or something like that, you know. I did really like seeing the dwarves in this, and once again, that aesthetic that you get from The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. You know, the dwarf design that continues into this show, and I really like that, and I really appreciated that. Once again, it's like you feel like it's consistent, you know. Yeah, Durin and Disa, I love them. Disa was definitely a pleasant surprise. Yeah, Durin, he's definitely like your comedic relief, because there's not much comedy in the show. Let's be real, you guys. There is absolutely no comedy in the show. The only comedy you get is from Durin. Thank God. And then yeah, let's move into the. I guess I shouldn't be calling them hobbits. I kept calling them hobbits, but they kept calling themselves like Harfoots or whatever. I guess they're like the original hobbits, if you will, before they call themselves hobbits. Let's move into that. We have Markella Cavanaugh, who plays Nori Brandyfoot, and Megan Richards, who plays Poppy Proudfellow. I adored Nori and Poppy, you guys. They are like the lady versions of Frodo and Sam. They were so cute and so sweet and so innocent. Their relationship, I simply adored it. They balanced each other out so well. Like I said, they're like Frodo and Sam, or even Merry and Pippin. You know, whatever combo of hobbits that you like. Yet Nori, I really liked her journey. Well, before I kind of head that way, once again, kind of like with the dwarves, when I saw that the hobbits were going to be in this, once again I was like, why do we need the hobbits? Because I kept thinking, it seems like we just need the humans and the elves and that's it. But I think, kind of like the same with the dwarves, you kind of get the reason why the hobbits are part of this story kind of near the end of this show, I feel like. Yeah, I liked Nori's journey, because she's kind of like, she's sort of kind of like Bilbo and Frodo to an extent, that she's almost kind of thrown into a situation that's just kind of thrown into her lap in a way, and she's adventurous. She kind of wants to get out of this cycle that the Harfoots kind of just repetitively do all year round, because it seems like they're very nomadic. That's kind of what I was getting from the Harfoots, that they're very nomadic people, and they're constantly on the move. That they move with the seasons. You know, they move with where the food goes. So it's like, I'm curious, how do we get from that to like the Shire? You know, how does that happen? And I liked Nori as a character. She's very comparable. It's like she has kind of personality traits almost from like both Bilbo and Frodo in some ways. And yeah, Poppy, oh my goodness, I loved Poppy. She was great. She's kind of another comedic character as well, because once again, we don't have much comedy or humor in this show. Please, somebody, I need the writers to let Poppy go on the journey with Nori and the stranger. I'm not going to talk about the stranger just yet, you guys. I have some characters I'm saving for the end here. I really was hoping Poppy would go with Nori and the stranger at the very end, because I thought she was going to have a Sam moment. She's like, I'm coming with you, Mr. Frodo. I thought that was going to happen. So yeah, the Harfoots / hobbits, whatever they are, they were a pleasant surprise. I did find their story initially to be very slow going, because I kept thinking to myself, what's the point of this? Who is this stranger dude, you know? It was very slow going with them for the most part, and sometimes it felt like it would drag a little bit, because I don't think the Nori and Poppy story and the stranger, it's like that didn't really pick up until like those last couple episodes. Let's see, let's move on here. We have Ishmael Cruz Cordoba, who plays Arondir? Arondir? Am I pronouncing that correctly? I'm hoping oh lord, there's a lot of names on here, you guys. Arondir, he is an elf. He's kind of like Legolas, but like the version of Legolas who doesn't really have any sort of personality, you guys, and I hate to say that. I didn't really have anything against Arondir. He, like a lot of the characters on the show, he's another character. It's like I wanted so much more depth and personality to him, and it's like there's potential there for him to be such a great character. It's like the show wanted him to be the next Legolas, but it never quite got there, you know? Because they were giving him like really cool action sequences, and him doing like really cool feats, you know, kind of like what Legolas would sit and do. But yeah, he never quite got to that place, you know, that makes like Legolas interesting, you know. Legolas is very interesting in his own way, considering that he sometimes don't really have much of a personality, but it's like somehow he does. So yeah, Arondir, I need more from you, man. I did like you. I did like you. I definitely did not hate you, but I needed more. I needed a little bit more personality there. Um, and then we have Nazanin Boninati. Once again, some names here. She plays Bronwyn. I liked Bronwyn. There's not too many female characters on this show. I mean, you pretty much kind of have like Galadriel and Nori and Poppy. Yeah, you have Bronwyn here, and got like a few other little people here. So yeah, it was nice to have Bronwyn in there. She's just normal, you know. She's normal. She's average. She has no supernatural powers. She's not out for glory and fortune, you know. She just wants to help her community. She wants to protect her son, you know. Yeah, she's going to pick up his sword. You know, she may not be a great sword fighter, but she's going to go out there and she's going to give it her all no matter what, instead of like sitting in a house somewhere cowering in fear, you know. So yeah, I liked Bronwyn. Once again, kind of a similar thing with Arondir. It's like I needed more depth and personality there. I'm going to probably say that for a lot of these people here, you guys. So yeah, it's like there's potential there for Bronwyn. And I liked her relationship with Arondir. Kind of came out of nowhere. You know, it seems like they've had a thing in the past that the show was kind of, it never really totally went into, but it's like there's something there. You know, I wish it could have gone into that a little bit more. And you guys, Theo, her son Theo, is he somebody? I kept waiting for just some big reveal with Theo that he was going to be somebody. I don't know if I was just expecting too much, because there was numerous characters in this show that were just really vague and mysterious, and I thought Theo was going to be one of those too. Maybe I was just overthinking and overanalyzing Theo. For some reason, I was like, "Oh, is this little Aragorn?" I was like, "Is Aragorn even this? Would he be this old?" You know, because I know in the Lord of the Rings, Aragorn is supposed to be like hundreds of years old, isn't he? Something like that. So I kept thinking, surely this ain't Aragorn of all people. Once again, I think I was overthinking and overanalyzing things. Next up, we have Cynthia Adai Robinson, who plays Queen Muriel. She is the queen of this place called Numenor. I don't think we ever saw Numenor in Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, correct? Was it ever mentioned? Because Numenor, it sounds familiar. There's like something in my brain, it's like that sounds very familiar, like Gandalf or Aragorn or somebody, you know, Elrond. Like I feel like somebody mentioned Numenor at some point, but in what context, I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm making that up. Numenor, like I said, I believe this is a brand new place we've never gone to. I love the design of Numenor. It had kind of like it had a look almost similar to Gondor, you know, which was really cool. I liked the look of it. The costume design of this place, the people, its inhabitants. It just visually, Numenor looked really cool. I loved it. And yeah, we have Queen Muriel. She's actually like a queen regent at this point because her father is ill and ailing. It was kind of making me think of like you know, like the British monarchy, like King Henry VI, you know, who was kind of ill and ailing, and his wife was the one kind of in charge of things, you know, and then that's how we get like the War of the Roses. It's like I was kind of getting vibes of the War of the Roses with Numenor, like something is about to happen. We're about to get some sort of coup, because yeah, at the very end when Muriel and Captain Elendil, when they return, it seems like there's something off, you know. Plus, Elendil's daughter, we know that she went up to like up above the king's bedchamber or whatnot, and she pulled off that cloth because what is it, the Palantir, right? The Palantir is like under there, and you can see like the future and the Palantir. What did she say? You guys, what did she say? Oh my god, I'm seeing her. Okay, I'm getting all over the place. This review is getting everywhere. Let me backtrack here. Okay, but yeah, Queen Muriel. I liked Queen Muriel. She was great. She was a no nonsense woman. Like, hey, don't you speak to me that way. I did like her as a character. Then we have Lloyd Owen, who plays Captain Elendil. Captain Elendil was great. I loved him as well. Him and Muriel kind of had like this similar attitude, like, hey, don't you backtalk me. If you say something, I'm gonna go throw you in the dungeon. Captain Elendil was really cool. I liked him. I really want to see more of him in the upcoming seasons. And yeah, we have his son. You guys, Isildur. Oh my god, I was not expecting this at all. Isildur, played by Maxim Baldry. Isildur, he's a brash young man here at the start of the show. He kind of just makes his own rules and laws. You know, he's gonna go do whatever. It's like he kind of has a little bit of a privilege there because his father is captain, and I think sometimes he feels entitled, like, oh, I should have first go with like something like this, you know. But he has to work hard. You know, he definitely has to work hard alongside his friend group and whatnot. But yeah, it was really awesome seeing Isildur in this, because he's the guy, right? You know, the prologue to Fellowship of the Ring. He's the guy that he's supposed to throw the ring into the fire, and you have Elrond back there screaming at him to throw it into the fire, and at the last minute he's like, no, it's my ring. You know, that guy, right? So yeah, I love seeing Isildur, and it's like knowing where that's going, you know, like, ooh, I can't wait. And then let's see, we have, okay, now I'm going to get into the characters. This is where like some big spoilers are coming in, you guys. I saved some of these people for last. Let's start off first with Daniel Wayman, who plays the Stranger, aka Gandalf. Right? I mean, they never said that. They never said, hey, Gandalf. Once again, because they called him Eastar, they referred to him as Eastar right at the very end. Once again, I don't know the extended Tolkien material. Is that a clue that this is Gandalf, or is it for something else? I liked what they did with the Stranger all season, because he clearly had some sort of amnesia. He couldn't remember anything. And you kept getting these fluctuations with his character. Like, sometimes he would do something good, but then other times he would do something bad. He would do things to protect Nori and Poppy, but then he would do things that would end up kind of harming them, you know? So they kept having this fluctuation with his character, which is really interesting. Is he good? Is he bad? Because I think all season they wanted you to sit and think, okay, is this guy Gandalf or is he Sauron? You know? And sure enough, in that final episode, you get that like tease in the first like 5 minutes, and those weird ladies in white are like, oh, Lord Sauron, you know, and in my head I was like, he's not Sauron. You know, I was like, he is not Sauron, he's Gandalf. So yeah, sure enough, the show ends and you get the reveal, okay, no, he is not team a dark side, he seems to be team the light side, you know. So the Stranger was definitely very interesting. That was a fun kind of thing throughout the whole season, like, okay, who is he? I know he's somebody. It's just a matter of, is the show going to give you those hints and clues of who he is? So yeah, the show ends with the Stranger and Nori heading off to go do, you know, whatever they're off to go do. Hopefully Poppy tags along. I really want Poppy to tag along, please. I need the Frodo-Sam companionship. So, and then yeah, the next character, we have Joseph Mall, who plays Adar. I love Joseph Mall, you guys. He is such a great actor. Adar, I loved what they were doing with Adar as well, because they were kind of doing that back and forth thing with him as well. Like okay, he's being called like the father of the orcs, and you're like, is he Lord Sauron? You know, so that was the big thing with this whole season, was who is Sauron. So yeah, Adar. He was a great character. He is one of, like I said, one of the few characters, seriously, there was just a few characters on the show that I felt like had some sort of depth and personality. I think Adar had a lot of great depth there. His character was very, very fascinating. And yeah, very mysterious, you know, very mysterious, you know, why is he leading these orcs, and why do they look up to him, why do they admire him so much, you know, what is his goals, what is his agendas, you know, and yeah, he was very, very fascinating all season long, yeah, guys. I love the design of him too, with like this long, greasy hair, and he almost looks like he's decomposing or something, I don't know, but yeah, Adar, seriously, I loved Adar, he was really great. And I'm glad he made it out alive, because there were several occasions I was like, oh my god, he's dead. No, why? I was like, I want some of these other characters to die. Don't kill Adar of all people, my god. Okay, moving on, you guys. My favorite character. You know, y'all know I'm a sucker for a good villain, especially a hot villain, you guys. Especially if someone starts off good and then they go bad. I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. We have Charlie Vickers, who plays Halbrand, who actually turns out to be, wait for it, you guys, Sauron, the Dark Lord. What? The thing is, I was expecting it all damn season. The show kept trying to play with you, because they kept throwing out, okay, the Stranger and Adar, maybe even Theo over here, you know? There were several characters that they were really strongly trying to make you suspect as Lord Sauron and whatnot. Yeah, Charlie Vickers, wow, I freaking loved the character of Halbrand. I really liked his relationship with Galadriel. It's very complex and complicated. It's like they kind of see each other as as friends, you know, they see each other as friends, but there's also something more sinister lurking in the background as we find out later, you know. Um, yeah, Halbrand was very interesting, and yeah, the whole season we get this thing that, oh, he has this great lineage, you know, he's like the last king of this place, but then yeah, Galadriel finds that scroll, and that line of kings, you know, died off a while back, and it's like, well, who the hell is this guy, you know? I loved that reveal. I love that twist. It totally worked for me, even though I was expecting it. You know, even though I was expecting it quite a few episodes before the reveal, it was still shocking nonetheless, and I loved it. Um, yeah, seriously, Charlie Vickers, his performance was easily my favorite. His character was easily my favorite. And yeah, what a way to end the show with him, you know, because that volcano, that's that ridiculous, stupid volcano sequence, you guys. You know, didn't people learn anything from like Pompeii? I'm surprised none of those people turned into ash. I'm very confused about the damn volcano, why people didn't turn to ash. Why were people still alive? You know, it should have been a Pompeii situation. Um, Other than that, okay, I digress with that damn volcano, but still, I love that ending shot with Halbrand, because we have, you know, that volcano went off and it created Mordor essentially, which was so cool. Um, and yeah, there he is. He's going into Mordor. I hope him and Adar are the best of friends. That'd be great. Hey, are we gonna get Shelob next season? I'm really hoping we get Shelob. That'd be great. Oh god, I might end up shipping Halbrand and Shelob, because I know she's supposed to be a woman. Isn't Shelob supposed to be a woman, you guys? Because I watched a gameplay for those those Lord of the Ring video games. God, what were they called? Like Shadow of Mordor or something like that. And Shelob was a character in there, and she was like a human lady. I think she could like shapeshift, and she can shapeshift into the spider, I think. So I'm kind of hoping maybe we'll just get Shelob randomly. This show has been doing all sorts of crazy bullshit. I wouldn't be surprised if Shelob just popped up in Mordor. You guys. Oh my goodness. This show. You know, sometimes it's like there's things about this show. It's like I found just weirdly humorous and comedic when it's probably not supposed to be. Things that were kind of ridiculous. Things it's like, oh my god, this is so bullshit, you know. But then other things, it's like I still liked it. You know, at the end of the day, I still weirdly enough like this show. Um, I want to see a second season. You know, I hope we get a second season, because I'm curious to see where it's going, where it's ultimately leading up to. Because we do get the creation of 3 of the rings, because there's supposed to be quite a number of rings, right? I can't remember, you know, because there's the prologue, Galadriel and Fellowship of the Ring. She has that whole speech about this many rings went to the humans, this many rings went to the dwarves and the elves and the hobbits, or whatever, whoever, you know. So I know we have quite a few more rings to get through. And yeah, is the show going to get to the point like what we do see in the prologue of Fellowship of the Ring, you know, with Isildur and Elrond and Mordor and whatnot? Are we going to end there, and then you can pretty much just pop in your DVDs if you still have a DVD player, pop in your DVDs of Fellowship of the Ring and go from there, you know? Um, so I'm definitely curious people's thoughts and opinions about Rings of Power. Because it's very hit or miss with people. People are very passionate about this show, especially if they're a Tolkien purist. They seem to be very highly upset and disappointed with this show, whereas I think casual viewers like myself, you know, that those of us who we just like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, you know, we don't know anything about the extended material. We are the ones who had probably the easiest time with this show and enjoyed it for what it was. But I'm definitely curious your thoughts and opinions about this show. Um, did you like it? Did you hate it? If you hated it, that's okay. What I want in the comment section is just civilized discussion. You know, I don't want people bashing on people who like the show. I don't want people bashing on people who hated the show. You know, everyone is entitled to their opinion. You know, people are passionate about different things, and that's great. You know, so yeah, I definitely want to know people's thoughts and feelings about the show. What you liked, what you didn't, what worked, what didn't work, your favorite characters. Like I said, the big thing for me, a lot of the writing was very lackluster. A lot of the characters were very just one-dimensional, not much depth to them. Seriously, there was just, quite honestly, a few characters who had any sort of resemblance of depth to them, which I appreciated. And yeah, a lot of characters, like, there's potential there. You know, there's a lot of great potential there, and I really hope some of these characters get further fleshed out and relationships get fleshed out and whatnot. So yeah, don't hesitate to share with me your thoughts about this show, because I'm not going to sit and judge you. I'm not going to sit and judge you by any means, because everyone is entitled to their opinion with this show. So you guys, that is it for my thoughts and feelings on The Rings of Power. As I said, tell me your thoughts and feelings down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.